Please welcome the president of Chirla Action Fund, ANGELICA Salas.
Good morning, members of the California Democratic Party. I come to you in proud representation of Chirla Action Fund's immigrant members and as a Mexican immigrant Latina voter. It is with great hope for the future of California's Latino and immigrant families that I speak to you today. My hope and optimism derive from the concrete wins that we can demonstrate as a result of the civic engagement of new citizen and Latino voters. Their participation in elections is making a difference and safeguarding California laws and programs that expand rights and resources for all families. Just this past fall, Latino and new citizen voters were instrumental in defeating the recall effort to unseat Governor Gavin Newsom. Latino voters made up 30% of the people who voted during the recall election, with 78% voting against it. They understood that our governor had meaningful examples of policies and laws that included them and made their lives better. The expansion of health care for the undocumented, significant stimulus economic support during the worst of the COVID pandemic, and emergency rent relief were but 3 examples. Latino and new citizen voters could clearly see that a vote against the recall was a vote to defend California against those who wanted to turn back the clock and derail the progress that we had achieved. They voted in large cities and small rural towns in California. Those who couldn't vote convinced those who could. They showed everyone that when elected officials have their back, they will have their back on election day. By defeating the recall, Latino and new citizen voters demonstrated that California is no longer the state of anti-Latino and anti-immigrant Proposition 187. They turned out to vote in the middle of the pandemic, even as the Latino and immigrant community have suffered significant loss of income, loss of education, and the loss of life of their loved ones. It is this against all odds spirit and constant si podemos attitude that inspires me to continue to build the power and voice of Latino and new citizen voters so that we can build a California that is more just, more equitable, and more inclusive for everyone. In 2022, the work continues to transform California into a more inclusive state for Latino and immigrant families, even as it proves elusive in Washington, D.C. We will seize all opportunities to create new realities for our families, but do not take us for granted. Here in California, Latinos make up 40% of the population and 20% of the registered voters. Immigrants make up 30% of the total population and 5 million of the voters of California. We are strong and vibrant. Our participation in elections will ensure that we go beyond the rhetoric to real change. You cannot chant si se puede during the elections and then say no se puede when you get elected. We need you to fight with us to win living wages, quality education, affordable housing, criminal justice reform, racial equity, and yes, a path to citizenship. And you have to include us in every local, regional, state, and national electoral effort. Don't believe those who tell you we're not worth the investment. We deliver when you respect us and you recognize us. As for the Chirla Action Fund, we're ready to get out the vote of new citizen and Latino voters throughout the state of California for school board, mayoral, city council, state legislator, county supervisor, state constitutional office, senator, governor, and congressional races. Our present and our future is on the line, and we will not rest until we can live free with opportunity in this, our home. Thank you very much, and let's win 2022 together.